US politicians prepare for a long battle over the Iran nuclear deal. A sceptical Congress is about to hold its first hearing on the agreement. French MPs travel to Crimea for the first time, the first high-profile visit by Western politicians since the peninsula rejoined Russia. Greek MPs approved the second batch of austerity measures while thousands rally outside Parliament. Hello there, you're watching RT International. You're with me, Katie Pilbeam. Welcome to the programme. Top officials from Obama's administration will now have to defend the nuclear deal struck with Iran last week. Well, any minute now, they'll face questions from lawmakers over the worthiness of an agreement which took more than 2 weeks of talks in Vienna to finalise. But the next big fight will be in Congress, where many remain unconvinced.
The sanctions were working and bringing Iran to its knees. And we're going to continue to review this. But we're going to fight a bad deal that's wrong for our national security.
The choice is not between this deal and war. It is between this deal or a better deal, potentially, once we continue to impose additional sanctions.
I'm greatly saddened, sickened, and frustrated over this deal.
Many protesters in New York have shown their disapproval too. Organisers of a rally on Times Square estimate up to 10,000 came out to convince lawmakers to vote down the deal.
We're here as Americans to speak with one voice, to say, stop Iran now, reject this deal, and let's speak loud enough that they hear us in Washington right now.
Meanwhile, President Obama went on television to promote the agreement with Iran.
With respect to Iran, look, this is an adversary. They are anti-American, anti-Israel, anti-Semitic. They sponsor terrorist organizations like Hezbollah.
Sounds like a good partner for peace.
Probably. Well, as has been said frequently, you don't make peace with your friends.
Right.
So the issue here is, do we want them having a nuclear weapon? Right. And the answer is no.
Well, Obama now has to wait to see whether Congress will look to derail the agreement. The lawmakers itching to kill the deal are set to be disappointed, as the president says that he'll use his veto if they do. Congress would then need a 2/3 majority of no votes to override that veto. Marina Portnaya has more on the long road ahead.
The U.S., along with 5 other countries, has invested more than 18 months into securing a nuclear agreement with Iran. And today could be day one of its unraveling. The Senate is opening a 2-month congressional review of the accord, and quite a saga is expected to unfold. President Barack Obama is sending 3 of his cabinet members, led by Secretary of State John Kerry, to defend the deal at a Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing. Keep in mind that Republicans, who have been vocal critics of Obama's deal with Iran, hold a majority in the Senate. Opponents insist the agreement doesn't provide ironclad guarantees that Iran won't secretly build a nuclear weapon. Obama's challenge doesn't just lie in convincing skeptical Republicans. The U.S. president also has to sell his deal with Iran to the American public, which remains deeply divided. According to a Pew Research poll, 48% of people disapprove of the deal. In Congress, Obama's opponents appear determined to do whatever they can to torpedo what the president hopes to be one of his most important foreign policy achievements. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Marina Portnaya, RT.
A delegation of French lawmakers is visiting Crimea in defiance of the French Foreign Ministry. Well, the first major delegation of European politicians since the peninsula reunited with Russia. That's what's happening right now. RT's Igor Piskunov reports why.
No one in the West still recognizes Russia's reunification with Crimea, and this is the first time that Western officials, and these are members of the French Parliament, who are going to Crimea themselves, and they say to see with their own eyes what's the situation there on the ground. Earlier on Thursday, they were able to meet with their Russian counterparts here in Moscow, and they said that a year has passed since the reunification took place, and all we've been seeing is this tit-for-tat sanctions game between Russia and Europe, while the real beneficiaries in all this are not even located on the European continent.
It's time to understand that if Russia is affected by the sanctions, France and European countries are also affected by them. It illustrates well, I would say, the stupidity of the policy encouraged by the Americans.
It's important to add here that the French Foreign Ministry was quite critical of their visit, but the MPs said that, well, their independence was more important. Of course, we'll be closely monitoring this visit, and we'll be bringing you all the latest as it continues.
The Greek Parliament has approved a second set of reforms demanded by European creditors. The measures clear the way for talks of a new multi-billion-euro bailout. The debate dragged on, though, for most of the night. The Greek PM, Alexis Tsipras, looking fed up and tired by the time it came to the vote. While MPs were mulling the changes, just metres away, thousands swamped the square outside Parliament in protest. At some point, the rally turned violent, with masked protesters throwing Molotov cocktails at police. Furious demonstrators are continuing to fight further austerity measures being imposed by Greece's creditors.
Λέμε ότι είναι τρίτο μνημόνιο, πιο βαρύ για τις πλάτες των εργαζομένων. Όσο μπορούμε θα είμαστε εδώ για να τα ανατρέψουμε.
Ο κόσμος όταν ψήφισε όχι, είπε όχι στα νέα μέτρα και όχι στη λιτότητα. Άρα σημαίνει ότι όχι στην Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση, ναι στη ρήξη με το ευρώ, ναι στη ρήξη στους δανειστές.
Global financial expert Patrick Young believes the Greeks will be worse off thanks to the creditors' tactics.
The Greeks are going through stage 2 of crafting this wonderfully perfect noose that's going to strangle the entire nation, because it's all about a stupid political project that is based on sand. What the actual result will be will appear like austerity. Yes, the Greek government is going to have to keep cutting back. The Greek government is going to have to increase taxes, even though it can't get them collected. And ultimately, where are we going to end up? In a few weeks, a few months, or a few years, this bailout will be exactly like all the bailouts before. It will not be possible to implement. And at that stage in time, the only progress we'll have made is we will have beggared more poor Greek citizens. That is the politics of the insane. Welcome to the euro.
According to a recent survey, many economic experts predict that Greece could be forced out of the Eurozone by 2017. And almost half of all the respondents believe that the third bailout, worth €86 billion, won't be enough. Dr. Joe Michel, an economist at the University of the West of England, says that the new austerity plan will leave the Mediterranean debt nation debt-ridden for years to come.
I just can't see that this current deal is going to work. It's clear that the current government don't really want to implement it, so will probably do as much as they can to avoid implementing it. Even if they do implement it, it's going to plunge the Greek economy back into recession. The crucial thing, which should have been part of the deal, would be some kind of debt write-down. Even the IMF is now saying there's no way that this debt can be repaid. It's simply impossible. So we're going to be back in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. GDP will be lower. The debt will be higher. We're going to be in an even worse situation. At some point, it's going to become clear that this just can't carry on.
Ahead, we look at a controversial satirical ad shown on American TV to highlight the problem of inequality. Well, the ad offers a white squad offering black people help in getting equal treatment in everyday life. We get reaction later on in the programme.